Blake Lively is currently experiencing a catastrophic meltdown in the courtroom, and this time it's undeniably real. Ryan Reynolds has just revealed a shocking truth that many suspected, but hearing it from her own husband marks the end of Blake's meticulously curated public persona. It's painful to witness a man turn against his wife, but honestly, what choice did he have? His 2 upcoming films and a decade-long contract were abruptly cancelled because Blake chose to play the victim, ultimately becoming one of the most reviled figures on the internet. If this is Ryan's form of revenge, he deserves full marks for execution. This turmoil unfolded during the pretrial hearings for Blake Lively's misconduct case, which are currently dragging through the discovery phase. In this phase, names are dropped, subpoenas are issued, and witnesses come and go. Taylor Swift was summoned but failed to appear, while a few former PR assistants testified via Zoom. A barista from the set of Lakeside provided a shaky statement regarding Blake's mood swings. In short, nothing explosive occurred until the court added an unexpected name to the witness list: Ryan Reynolds. Behind the scenes, Blake was unraveling. Her legal team had dwindled to 2 mid-tier litigators from Manhattan, who appeared to be billing by the minute while bleeding by the hour. Then came June 1st, when the witness list was updated to include Ryan Reynolds, who was legally compelled to testify under Rule 45. This was not voluntary, not prepped, and certainly not confidential. The moment his name appeared on the court docket, X, had a field day. His Marvel press tour was abruptly paused, and Disney sent out a quiet email indicating that Deadpool 3 was undergoing production adjustments, meaning Ryan was about to air the kind of dirty laundry that doesn't belong on Disney+. He entered through a side door, as his legal team had pleaded with the judge for an exemption, arguing that his career commitments made his physical presence disruptive. Judge Marsha Dempsey flatly denied the request, stating that the court needed him to testify, unfiltered, unedited, just Ryan under oath. Once sworn in, Ryan maintained a clinical demeanor. He acknowledged a significant marital dispute that erupted in November 2023 after he discovered messages between Blake and Justin Baldoni that were far from professional. According to the court transcript, Blake described Baldoni as emotionally attentive and expressed that she felt understood in a way Ryan did not. Ryan testified that this was the beginning of their downward spiral. He noted that Blake panicked about her image rather than her emotional state. While he didn't label her a liar, he did state that she was concerned about people discovering her late-night texts with Justin. The accusations came after that, not before, creating a timeline that was damaging. Blake's lawyers attempted to object on the grounds of hearsay, but Judge Dempsey ruled the testimony admissible, as spousal privilege did not apply in civil misconduct cases, and the statements directly contradicted the official affidavit Blake had filed in January. The courtroom wasn't packed, but the 3 reporters present typed as if their lives depended on it. Reynolds delivered one final blow before stepping down, stating that Blake had told him, "If I don't frame this right, I lose the brand, the podcast deal, and my seat at the table." The judge didn't flinch. It was now on record. What began as a victim claim was being dismantled, not by a tabloid, but by her own husband. Ryan Reynolds' sworn testimony was calm, composed, and cold enough to freeze the air in the courtroom. Under oath, he clearly stated that he had never witnessed Blake exhibit any emotional distress following the alleged harassment incident with Justin Baldoni, just one intense argument in their kitchen in November 2023, which would later become an unofficial turning point in their marriage. That argument wasn't about safety or harm. It was about trust and the discovery of messages between Blake and Baldoni that Ryan described as flirtatious, persistent, and deeply inappropriate. The court transcript revealed Ryan detailing how Blake dismissed his anger at the time, accusing him of overreacting and labeling her texts as harmless industry banter. However, what troubled Ryan was not the tone of the messages, but Blake's sudden obsession with how things might appear if they ever leaked. According to him, that was when she floated the idea of flipping the narrative entirely. She allegedly suggested that if the situation spiraled out of control, she could go public with her version first, shaping the coverage before Baldoni had a chance to defend himself. The forensic team confirmed the worst. Everything checked out. The emails were real, and the timeline aligned perfectly. Blake had sent those messages 4 days before filing her formal complaint. She had already decided on the amber strategy, as one analyst called it, and had moved forward not out of fear or recovery, but for brand preservation. The timing also coincided with a sudden PR shift in early January, where scheduled podcast appearances were cancelled, product placements were pulled, and quiet repositioning emails were sent to entertainment editors, framing Blake as a woman navigating hostile industry waters. Justin Baldoni's legal team remained silent throughout it all. They didn't need to argue or posture. With each piece of evidence, their case was being made for them. When the judge returned from recess, she didn't look at Blake. She looked straight at her lawyer and asked whether the defense would like to amend their strategy. No objections were raised, and no clarifications were offered. The courtroom had just witnessed what may become the defining moment of the entire trial. The media frenzy reignited immediately after the hearing. Entertainment law analysts compared the strategy to infamous celebrity cases, calling the email exhibits a smoking gun. One former prosecutor went live on CNN to state, "You don't use words like destroy him or own the narrative when you're scared. You use them when you're planning your next move." As headlines shifted from Blake Lively's courage to Blake Lively's calculated maneuvers, Ryan Reynolds disappeared once again from the public eye. But the damage his testimony caused couldn't be undone. For the court, the question was no longer whether the incident with Justin Baldoni occurred, but whether the complaint itself was a manufactured PR tactic. The more evidence the defense revealed, the harder it became to separate truth from branding. If you're wondering why a husband would publicly turn against his wife, dragging their personal life into a courtroom and dropping bombs that could obliterate her entire image, let me clarify. It's not just about hurt feelings or infidelity. It's about career damage on a scale that even Hollywood agents can't spin. However, the final straw wasn't career damage or industry gossip. It was personal. In April 2025, the Daily Mail ran a headline claiming Ryan Reynolds was hiding something huge, and it wasn't about Blake. The story included blurry photos of their 2 daughters being followed outside their New York school, with one paparazzi reportedly approaching a teacher for class schedules. That's when Ryan snapped. In court, he stated, "That was it. I didn't care about the PR anymore. I didn't care about Deadpool. I cared about getting my kids out of the line of fire." The next morning, he met with his legal team and agreed to testify. No media consultant, no Marvel lawyers, no branding advisor. Just a signed witness list and a simple instruction. Tell the truth, no matter what it costs. Ryan Reynolds didn't break his silence to hurt Blake. He broke it because protecting her was now harming his children, his career, and his integrity. The courtroom fell silent, but not out of order. It was the kind of silence that follows a public unmasking, where even the judge avoids eye contact and no one wants to be the first to breathe too loudly. Ryan Reynolds had just left the witness box, and while his testimony was over, the damage continued to reverberate through the room. In the front row, behind the defense table, Blake Lively was visibly unraveling. She clutched a folder, her lips trembling, eyes glassy, before finally giving in and sobbing into her sleeve, loud enough for the courtroom to hear. A reporter sitting near the front caught what she said under her breath. "He was supposed to protect me," she muttered, not once but several times. The words were barely audible but unmistakable, raw, cracked, and utterly defeated. Justin Baldoni's civil suit, originally seen as weak due to its he said she said nature, is now gaining serious legal momentum. 2 women, both former co-stars of Blake on separate streaming projects, have stepped forward through their attorneys to claim that Blake used similar manipulation tactics during their productions, including fabricated discomfort claims and private requests to remove male actors from sets. Baldoni's legal counsel is reportedly preparing a motion to introduce those patterns as supporting evidence of character behavior. Hollywood has taken notice. Agencies are distancing themselves, sponsorships are stalling, and multiple brand deals under the Betty Buzz and Betty Booze labels have quietly removed Blake from promotional materials. For some, this is just another celebrity scandal. But for those watching closely, the message is clear. This isn't ending with a courtroom win or loss. It ended because Blake Lively's own husband took the stand and peeled back everything. Whether she survives this professionally is no longer up to a judge. It's up to an industry that has already started whispering what nobody dared to say aloud just a year ago. She burned the house down, and now she's choking on the smoke.